Okay. So if you can get yourself a coffee or something. We have a very interesting topic today, actually. And I think this is a very, very good one. And it's such an easy concept, but I don't see people doing it. We're going to be looking at the new monthly topic for the next 4 sessions. It's just going to be about something which I call active referrals. So today we're going to look at what exactly that is, why it's a good idea to do it, how to do it, and we're going to compare it against what most of the lawyers and the partners are doing around the world in legal practices to grow their presence. And to be honest, what most of the lawyers and partners around the world are doing isn't very efficient, usually doesn't have much of a strategy or a plan, and takes a very, very long time. So I think that if we used some of the approaches which we're going to look at today, that might be quite a bit more successful. So we'll see what you think about it. And of course, as normal, if you have any questions, you can put them into the Q&A function or the chat box at the bottom of the page. And for today, we have the first half hour, which is going to be about this topic, the 16 key concepts on active referrals. And then around about, in half an hour, the time depends on where you're located, we're going to be speaking with one colleague from Serbia about business development for their law firm. It's called a law firm called Vukovic and Partners. It's one of the leading law firms in Serbia, and they have presence in quite a few of the other neighboring smaller jurisdictions like Montenegro, North Macedonia, Kosovo, Bosnia, and so on. So I think that'll be something interesting as well. So today we have 2 parts to the broadcast. We have the theoretical part, which I'm going to be telling you just now, and then we have the interview part. Okay, so I just pour myself some coffee, and I think we can begin. All right. So as usual, we know what is the early morning show. Every Thursday morning, 8:30 to 9:30 CET. Like I mentioned before, we're going to be moving towards the live stream format on YouTube. So probably this will be the last of the broadcasts on Zoom, because Zoom is a nuisance. It quite often crashes. And I experimented with some live streams like last week. We did one in the area of legal writing, and so that's a much better function. So in any case, we continue Thursdays 8:30 to 9:30, although the channel for communication will be with YouTube. And today we're going to look at the concept of active referrals. And as normal, we have 16 pictograms, and these pictograms, they correspond to the different key ideas that I've either discovered or created over the years. And this is one of the newer topics. This has got quite a lot of development from 2020, from during the pandemic, from 2020 until 2023. So that's what we're going to be covering today. And you'll be able to see a bit of an evolution. If you've studied some of the previous broadcasts, and keep in mind that not all of them, but I would say 75% of the different broadcasts are recorded and they go onto YouTube. And we get quite a few views, actually, quite a few thousand views. Some of the concepts we've seen before are elaborated and built upon in this broadcast. So if something is new or difficult, either drop me an email or simply go back to some of the previous broadcasts. So the ideas are mentioned there. Okay, so let's take a step back. Let's take a step back and look at what we're doing, or what we should be doing, in business development as lawyers. We should know, or I'll just tell you, one of the discoveries I had in the last 3 years, especially, became very clear to me at Deloitte. Your key metric of success when it comes to business development as a lawyer has to be meetings, quite simply meetings. I saw tons of people wasting a lot of time doing some kind of different business development activities. So this could range from sales to marketing, and quite often it was just marketing. It was something in the comfort zone. Let's write some articles, let's do a webinar, and it was generating no meetings at all. That's a waste of time. Maybe it's good for marketing and publicity. Perhaps I shouldn't be so blunt, but if I'm looking at it from a sales perspective, then it is a waste of time. So I would really strongly recommend that you follow the 4M approach. And I've written a big paper about this. So this 7 or 8 page sales paper, which means you should keep in mind that if you're sending out, let's say 10 messages, you're sending 10 messages to current or ex-clients or new clients, doesn't matter. Maybe only 3 of those messages will actually get you a meeting, which is good. That's absolutely fantastic. Of those 3 meetings, only perhaps 1 of them will give you a mandate. And of that mandate, after some period of time, after, I don't know, some months, you'll be able to calculate the money. So that's the discovery I made at Deloitte. You can spend a lot of time doing different activities which don't generate you any meetings, which won't generate you any mandates and therefore no money. Previously, before the pandemic, I had had a more sympathetic approach, and I had created the concept of something called the 1-2 ratio. And this was rather to ease lawyers into doing business development, especially younger lawyers. And the idea went as follows. If you're a younger lawyer, for at least each 2 hours of marketing activities that you do, which are probably going to be in your comfort zone, you should do 1 hour of sales activities. So the idea was that if we do a mix, we understand the difference between sales and marketing. We have our business development menu. So we know there's different activities that we can do for sales. There's different activities we can do for marketing, that we would try and sweeten the pill by having a little bit of sales and quite a bit of marketing. Based on my experience during the pandemic, no, I changed my mind. I don't think you should be doing any marketing at all. And to be honest, if you were a junior lawyer, a junior associate, a paralegal, I would still not recommend that you're doing any marketing at all. I think that the marketing is best left to the marketing colleagues. Somehow, sometime, in any case, you will be asked to participate in some marketing activities. That's fine. You're a team player, you can do them. So if you need to represent the company at some presentation, that's okay. If you need to add some comments or something to some writing work, that's okay as well. But I really believe your focus should definitely be very proactively on sales and getting meetings. And if you don't like it, again, I've taken a more unsympathetic approach. If you don't like it, tough. You know, you don't want to do business development, don't do it. But that the consequences of not doing it will lie upon you and your career and your future. So it really depends on you. So again, previously, I would have only said this maybe to partners or managing partners, focus on sales. Now I say it to everybody, don't follow the 1-2 ratio and do follow the 4M approach. Messages leading to meetings, leading to mandates, leading to money. And let's be a little bit vulgar here. Let's be a little bit Wolf of Wall Street. Sooner or later, you have to ask yourself, where's the money? How much money did this generate? You did an email campaign, you did a social media campaign, you did a roadshow to London, you wrote an article and sent it to people. Eventually, after 2 or 3 months, let's say 3 months, how much money did that generate? And if you can't answer, well, it didn't generate any money and you failed. So then you need to do it differently or try again. So very blunt introduction to the topic of active referrals. I'm not convinced about the 1-2 ratio, although I created it. I would focus on the 4M approach. Now, you don't need to make life totally difficult for yourself. Again, we've seen this before, the 1-2-4 mistake. We shouldn't be just running out and chasing all of the new potential clients. We know that we should have our 3 hit lists. We should have a hit list of our current clients that we're going to be developing. We should have our hit list of our ex-clients that we're going to be recontacting. And we should have our hit list of new clients, target industry that we're going to go after. But before doing all of that, or especially while doing all of that, we should do an ABC analysis of our current clients. Divide your clients into 3 categories. The really, really good ones, the A ones, then the medium-sized ones, B, and then the C ones. Previously, we looked at ABC analysis in terms of revenue, and we could see that 20% of our clients, that's the A clients, they gave us 80% of the revenue. That's okay. And then we have the B clients, which are in the middle. They're a mixture of commodity and premium. And then you have a long, long, long list of C clients who don't generate much money at all. They're more commodity. Lots of law firms have not done any kind of ABC analysis, not even a basic ABC analysis. You can go a bit more sophisticated, however. There are different ways that you can define your ABC analysis. The most primitive version is the one that I told you about, just looking at it in terms of revenue. You could look at ABC analysis in terms of growth potential. You could look at the ABC analysis if you're doing this for companies in an industry. You could do it in terms of market share. You could make a more complicated formula where you have a defined ABC analysis where there is specific weighting. Weighting meaning some kind of metric, some coefficient that you add depending on another factor. So a very good one would be famous brand. We could do our ABC analysis and we get a list of all of these different companies, from the high revenue ones to the low revenue ones. Then we could weight them. We have some kind of coefficient on a scale of, I don't know, 1 to 5, where we would have a multiplier based on our subjective understanding of brand recognition. Because in that first ABC analysis, we have a list of many, many, many local companies that nobody has heard of. And we really also want to go after the ones which have higher brand recognition. So you do a weighted ABC analysis. What I mean to say is, beyond the primitive ABC analysis based on revenue, there are different types of ABC analysis. We can make this quite a bit more sophisticated. And therefore, when you do your business development on the current clients, the ex-clients, and the new clients, you have a much better targeting of who you should be going after. Just now, most of the lawyers and most of the partners are doing this kind of on a subjective level, and they wouldn't have an ABC analysis and some kind of coefficient multiplier to define if a good company is worth chasing after because of their brand and their market size or revenue. They would just say, oh, no, it's a fantastic company, let's chase them. Yeah, so that's not very good. So again, I have a paper on defined ABC analysis. If you want to do that activity, you can write to me. I have information on it. Because when we do that ABC analysis, we're going to get this kind of curve. If you have the revenue of all of your clients and the number of clients, you're going to see this kind of curve here. And the top clients, 80% of the revenue coming from 20% of them, and we're going to see the declines. And again, like we've talked about before, it's a good idea, a very simple idea to free up more time from a time management perspective and from a profitability perspective, is once you've done your ABC analysis, and if you take this further, and if you look at the break-even hourly rate, you're going to find that you have D clients, and D clients are actually loss generators. And if you cannot legitimately justify why you have these loss generators, if you're just saying subjectively it's a good brand, that's not very good. It should be according to your defined ABC analysis. So a very good activity would be, strangely enough, in business development, to cut the tail and to stop working with your least profitable clients. Or actually, you're going to find that a lot of them aren't even profitable. Yeah. Then once you've done that, we know that there are different strategies we can have. If we want to grow our practice to begin with, while I wouldn't recognize the 1-to-4, I wouldn't recognize the 1-to ratio, I would recommend focusing first on your current clients. That's a consolidation strategy. Then after that, after 3 months or 6 months, you can focus on expansion, chasing your ex-clients. And then after that, only after that, you would go for market penetration, chasing your new clients. So you go for the low-hanging fruit. You help to make this into a habit, because probably, unless your law firm is a massive exception, unless your practice is a massive exception, or unless you yourself are quite an exception, there's a lot of very simple things in business development that you're quite simply not doing. do you really have the fixed time on your schedule for business development? Are you really tracking the messages, meetings, mandates, money? Are you, doing A/B analysis of different variants of either pitch that you send out? So not everyone is. So to help you get into the habit, you go through the 3 BD strategies, period of time for each of them. But then, coming back to the 4M approach, your key metric of success is meetings. And I've seen that there's an alignment between the 3 different types of T for free and the 3 different types of business development strategy that you can do. So to begin with, if you're going to take a market consolidation strategy, so you're going to have a 3-month period where you're focusing on developing current clients, well, then you should be doing the cross-selling. Again, very easy thing to say, almost nobody is doing it. So you should be doing the cross-sell T for 3. You and the other partners, the other lawyers, are going out, let's say once a week, and bringing somebody else from the practice to introduce to all of the current clients. So in the first period of market consolidation, you're focusing on cross-selling. Next, when you're going to come back to contacting dormant or ex-clients, there are lots of different activities that you can do. But in terms of the meetings, probably you're going to find that matchmaking, in addition to cross-selling, is a very good one. So in this case, you reach out to your ex-client and you offer to introduce them to somebody. That somebody doesn't even have to be someone in your company. So you try and get these meetings using somebody else as the bait to come back to. Of course, there's an overlap here that somebody else might be somebody else in your company. So when you're doing a market expansion strategy, you're going to have more success in pitching a T for 3, probably matchmaking, it might be cross-selling, rather than a T for 2. So this is a big mistake that a lot of lawyers, they make an ex-client list and then they just pitch them and they say, hey, we've not worked together for a long time. Let's have a coffee. No, that's not going to work. Your social equity has fallen. There's been some time since you worked with them and you're not offering anything new or interesting. So you're probably going to fail. So if you're doing a market expansion strategy, try matchmaking or maybe cross-selling. And then for the third type of business development strategy, the most tricky one, and this is what you do after consolidation and expansion, you're going to do market penetration. You have your hit list. It's probably industry-based, or at least it's prospect position-based. So if you're doing environmental law, you should have a hit list of different environmental managers, the ECG directors. If you're doing something like business integrity or white collar crime, maybe your position-based pitching would be focusing on the compliance officers. Believe me, you don't have a lot of compliance officers in your country, and these are the guys that you should be pitching. If you are doing environmental, it might be sustainability directors. If you're doing employment, it might be HR directors. Well, then you have to be careful with that, not to start pitching to middle management who can't hire you. So for your market penetration strategy, active referrals would be the best approach to take. So an active referral, I haven't actually told you what it is. An active referral is when you invite your client for lunch and you ask them to bring one of their colleagues, somebody that they know, because you've seen them on LinkedIn, that you know that they're connected, and you have something interesting to offer. That's the active referral. So there is an alignment between the 3 business development strategies that you can do in law firms and the 3 different types of T for 3, cross-selling, matchmaking, and active referrals. And each of these will give you better success at each of these stages than simply doing cold pitching, cold calls, articles, T for 2 even. And again, when you're doing this, you need to remember that not only are you as a lawyer doing 2 different types of work, commodity work, which anyone can do and is pretty cheap, and premium work, which only perhaps you can do or seniors can do, and it's more expensive and challenging. We can expand that spectrum of work. Again, you've heard about ChatGPT and all of this artificial intelligence revolution. Looks like some of the very basic commodity work is going to just be AI. that there's going to be the automation, that some of the commodity stuff that we used to do is going to just be done by computer. So you don't want to be focusing your business development activities there. On the other hand, why not? Let's be more ambitious. Beyond commodity work, you should be looking to develop premium work. So if you're a lawyer, a senior lawyer, a partner, you should be chasing premium work. You shouldn't be chasing commodity work that is just going to come through the door anyway. And why not be more ambitious? If you're a partner or a managing partner, why aren't you chasing after the super premium work? The super premium is the work which can be charged at London or New York law firm rates. And you don't need to benchmark yourself against local players on your market. You can benchmark yourself internationally against different law firms around the world. So one of the reasons to do something like active referrals would be not just to avoid having too much commodity work, a lot of which is going to be lost to AI, not just for premium, but go after the super premium stuff. Become the only player on the planet that can do what you do, and then you can charge basically what you want. And the reason to do this is that if you don't, you're going to experience the problem of feast and famine. And so this is something which I originally came across in Russia, and that's why it's got the Russian name there. But it happens in lots of other countries as well. I was speaking here in Portugal just yesterday with some Portuguese lawyers, and they have similar kind of situation. Feast means your law firm is very successful, it has too much billable hours, and nobody does any business development. Then the economy crashes or the things go down. You don't have enough billable hours, so you start doing business development. And you have this kind of cyclical oscillation of periods of intense business development and periods of no business development. It's really, really bad. Don't do that. Avoid feast and famine by having fixed time and stable amount of business development per week. My meeting to you, my meeting with you would be one where I would ask you, like, what did you achieve? Today is the 30th of March. I wouldn't ask you how many articles you wrote, how many networking events you went to, how many hours you spent on business development. My question is very direct. How many meetings did you get in March from your own efforts? With current clients, ex-clients, and new clients. So what is that number? And if your answer is 0, you need to change that for April, yeah? You need to avoid feast and famine, have your fixed business development time. And a very silly mistake to avoid is don't start doing kind favors. So I see managing partners make this mistake all the time. We're doing some kind of premium work, some interesting transaction for a client, and they start asking us some weird question about, I don't know, family law, or someone's crashed their car, and then we start helping them. No, do not do kind favors. You focus on your area of legal activity. One of the reasons you're doing business development is to move away from the stuff that's going to be lost to AI, to move away from the stuff which is commodity, and to focus on premium and aspire towards super premium. No kind favors. So again, managing partners, you really don't do that. You're not building social equity. You're not building goodwill. It's not a good idea. If you want to help someone with some other question, recommend one of your other friends, another lawyer, and let them take care of it. But you focus on the premium and super premium. Because what happens, the problem with helping people is that a lot of these silly questions that you're going to be asked will be commodity or will be AI. And if you have an A client, they will ask you these kind of favors will be B favors or C favors. And if it's a C client, it's going to be D favors. So it's going to go in the wrong direction. It's very unlikely that if you're asked to do a favor, that it's going to be something premium or super premium. And the same thing is with referrals. How do most law firms grow their practice around the world, even now in 2023 and in Europe? Passive referrals. So that means you have a client, they're very good, it's an A client. You've identified that they're an A client with an ABC analysis. And if they recommend someone that they think that you're a good firm, they recommend a B client, quite simply because there are more B clients on the market than A clients. And if you start working with that B client, they're going to recommend some of their friends. Probably is going to be C client because there are more C clients on the market. And then the C client is going to recommend some of their friends for some family law issues or criminal law issues, which you don't even do. They're going to recommend D clients. Passive referrals are bad because they go in the wrong direction. Super premium recommends premium, who recommends commodity, who recommends AI. So if you do whatever work that comes through the door, mostly that work that comes through the door is going to be commodity, or even worse, it's going to be AI commodity. So if you rely on passive referrals, you're going to end up with a lot of commodity basic work. The really premium stuff, it isn't just going to walk through your door. You're going to have to go out and get it. So this is passive referral proliferation. This is why I'm really surprised that a lot of law firms consider themselves to be successful when they're taking any kind of nonsense, any kind of work that comes through the door. You know, okay, if your competitors can do it, if you're charging a competitive rate, that's not much of a strategy. So you need to focus on active referrals. And what you quite simply do is not at the very start of the relationship, because they don't know you. You wait until you have some kind of milestone or a closing. And you say to them, I'd love to help your friend Sue, for example. You tell them exactly who it is you want to help, and you tell them exactly why. And you suggest a T for 3. You don't say something very silly, and I've seen lawyers do this. Do you have any friends who need legal help? That's just a crazy thing to say, because what's going to happen is you ask if they have any friends who need legal help. Even if they do, it's going to be C or D clients. You choose who you're going to target. You do your research. You have your hit list. You have your value propositions. You find that nice match of your UVP for that KDM. So you need to do it when you have a good relationship and they know you. So it's after a period of time. It's going to be your treat. So you tell the managing partner that the company is paying, and you invite them somewhere tasty and fancy and nice. And there's nothing wrong with this. I'd love to help your friend Sue. You're doing this not because you just want to make money and grow your practice. You're doing it because you can help them, because you have a valuable value proposition, because you recycle the value proposition, let's say, that you've done for somebody else in the industry. You're not asking for a favor by doing this. You are doing them a favor. And I bet your clients like you. If you look at your A or B clients and you told them this, and like if my lawyer said to me, hey, James, let's go and have lunch. Can you bring along your Scottish friend so-and-so? I would say, why? And they say, well, there's this development in the industry that I think would be interesting for them. So you can be very open about it, nothing to be ashamed of. I would probably agree. As long as you're not going to do something crazy like an aggressive hard sell, make the other person uncomfortable, then fine. So that's an active referral. Now, I'll tell you a secret. When I speak to partners, managing partners, and I ask them, have you ever received a referral? So that's a passive referral. Most of them say yes, because they're good lawyers. So people like them, they recommend their friends. And then I ask them, have you ever asked for a referral? And usually the answer is no, never. Active referrals are a good idea. You can do this. This matches especially nicely to a lot of the European cultures. So in Russia, in Ukraine, in Belarus, in Poland, in a lot of the countries, your relationship is based on trust and the length of knowing the person. You could leverage this social equity, but in general, people don't. So I would even go further. Passive referrals are bad. Passive referrals, these spontaneous recommendations, it's usually small money, not big money that you can get from an active referral. It's usually commodity work, not premium work that you can get from an active referral. Passive referrals, they come at the wrong time. It's feast and famine. When the economy is very good and you're too busy, you're going to get lots of passive referrals. When the economy is tanking and crashing and you need work, you're not going to get them. Active referrals, you can choose. You choose the time, you choose the industry, you choose the product, you have a strategy, you have a plan, it's under your control. Passive referrals aren't. So it's a very big thing to say. I would say that probably 99% of law firms are growing their practice in the wrong way through passive referrals. It's not a good idea. Change to active referrals, or at least have some kind of ratio. Maybe your passive referrals are good when you're a legal startup, but beyond the first 2 or 3 years, when you just need to get some money in to get yourself established, that's not how you should be growing your firm moving forward. And even if you wanted to, I'm thinking of DLA Piper. So I was working with DLA Piper for 8 years. It's a big global company. And you could say, well, James, it's not bad if this CEO of one company recommends a CEO of another company. Okay, A clients can recommend other A clients. That could be good. It could be good revenues. But it's probably not going to be like that. And it's probably for each of those A clients recommending an A client, they're going to be recommending 2 or 3 C or D clients. And there's a missing opportunity for us to be getting 3 or 4 other A client active referral recommendations. So maybe I exaggerate this a little bit. Passive referrals are not totally bad, but if you're only relying on them, you're missing a huge opportunity with the active referrals. And the funny thing is that active referrals really bind you, your client, to you. If you speak to your client and you get an active referral to work with one of their friends, they have an investment into that relationship because they have some degree of responsibility. So them giving you an active referral, it actually brings them closer to you. And then if you get another active referral from them or an active referral from their friend, you become even more integrated. So the more active referrals you get, the greater the strength of the relationship you have to the primary client. It doesn't weaken the relationships, it actually strengthens them. The same is true of cross-selling. The more cross-selling you get with a client, the better and the stronger and the longer the relationship. Unexpectedly, the same is true for active referrals. And again, goodwill is not enough. Let me just repeat this. I see this mistake happening all the time, especially in international law firms, and especially with cross-selling. Say, hey, we're working with you in one office. Let's work with you in another office. I remember when I was working in St. Petersburg, and we decided to open an office in Moscow. So that's in one country. And we did. And then we thought, because we have clients in St. Petersburg, we can get the active referrals and do the cross-selling to Moscow. No, because we were just saying, hey, we work with you guys in St. Petersburg, now we're in Moscow, let's work together. And they would be, no, we already have existing providers in Moscow. Goodwill and existing relationship is not enough. Not enough. What do you have to offer? So don't forget that. As that is important for cross-selling, it's also important for active referrals. What can you offer? And I was thinking, if you're looking at the premium work, and let's go to super premium, if we use the analogy, let's imagine you're a salesman selling a product. You're selling yachts. So a yacht is going to cost a few £1,000,000. You could try cold pitching. You could open some journal, you could find oligarchs, you could find very wealthy, high net worth individuals, and you could try and reach out to them and pitch to them. You will fail. On the other hand, if you have one client that you manage to sell a yacht to, very, very smart thing to do would not be to simply wine them and dine them and wait for them to recommend to you one of their friends after some months or years of effort to sell a yacht to their friend. It would be very good for you to be very pragmatic and Machiavellian and to research their contacts, to go to the different events. Look, it might not even be on LinkedIn. You'd have to do this in different ways to see who they know and then say to them, hey, I think your good friend so-and-so might like this type of yacht. And you can pitch it to them and you can get an active referral. I use this as an extreme example. For premium or super premium work, I don't think cold pitching is going to work at all. Cold emails, cold calls, articles, networking. I think the only way to do this, which would be different to what you would be recommended under Anglo-American business development culture, would be something a little bit more European, which would be the active referral. So I think if you are selling yachts, you're going to have a lot more success leveraging social equity with active referrals than cold pitching. And the same thing is true here if you're looking at trying to pitch and develop premium and super premium work. This is a kind of nice aspirational idea. A goal is a dream with a deadline. One of the reasons that you should be doing business development is to find all of the super premium, interesting, exciting work in a specific industry or an area that you dream to do. That work isn't going to walk through the door. Even if you're working at Big Four company or an international law firm, the kind of super premium work and the kind of work specifically for your niche, for your industry, isn't just going to materialize. You're going to have to go out and get it. So set yourself a goal. Your dream is to become the best partner or lawyer in a specific area. So you define it. you make your hit lists, you do your ABC analysis, you do your active referrals, and you can do this. You know, if you make a list of the top, you choose your clients, let's put it that way. You make a list of the top 10 clients in that industry in your country, and of course, taking into consideration any kind of risks about competition or conflict of interest, you then set yourself that goal. Your goal is to get these, let's say 5 clients. And how are you going to do it? Active referrals. I don't think you're going to have a lot of success if you just try and do it through cold pitching. And the last idea is a little bit of a provocation. Why can't you charge €1,000 an hour? So when I do training in the different law firms, I throw this at the lawyers and the partners as a provocation. And then everyone starts saying to me, oh, James, you don't understand Serbia. You don't understand Ukraine. You don't understand France. You know, we can't charge that. That's too expensive. It's not too expensive. Depends on what you're offering. If you're offering commodity work, charging €1,000 an hour is just going to be laughed at and ignored in your country. If you're offering something premium, if you're offering something super premium, if you're working in L2L sales, I've written a book about it. I can share that with you. Law firm to law firm sales. There's nothing to prevent you from positioning yourself at the same kind of global rates in London or New York. You can charge €1,000 an hour. The only reason that you're not charging €1,000 an hour is probably because you're not doing very good business development. That's a little bit blunt for me to say, but I mean to say, if you could get that big key decision maker for a meeting and you have that super premium value proposition and you pitch it, you can be charging some kind of ridiculous rates. Even if it isn't exactly €1,000 an hour, it could be an equivalent hourly rate significantly higher than what you're charging. So this is a little bit of a provocation to wind you up. But if you find yourself under price pressure, so you're charging, I don't know, €200 an hour, and then all of the clients are saying it's too expensive and they want you to charge 180, and then you see your competitors are charging 160, and then someone is dumping and they're charging 120, and the economy is going down and some people start going to 100. Don't play that game. Step out. You're not too expensive. Your price is a representation of the value of what you offer, and if you're offering it to the right people, your price is worth that value. So something like that theoretical €1,000 an hour isn't impossible, and it's not that theoretical. It really depends on you and your business development skills. So I think you get the idea as a kind of provocative little statement there. And it's really a pity, because what I notice happening around the world is that the lawyers and the law firms really are usually going in the wrong direction. That they are coming under the pricing pressure. They are having the impression that, you know, oh, we're so expensive, and they honestly begin to believe it, and they go down the value chain. So that's a kind of mistake to make. All right. So yeah. As you can see, I'm in Lisbon today, and tomorrow Brussels, and then actually Frankfurt, then all these other places. So if you're interested in seeing me, you can. And I believe, well, so what can we wrap up about active referrals? If you've never done it, try. If you want the slides and information about it, I can send it to you. The main mistake is to not have an interesting value proposition and to not research. And if you get one active referral, then scale it up, try and do it with somebody else to get some other active referrals. Again, because most law firms are not doing it at all. Most partners are not doing this at all, which is really kind of crazy. If you need any help with the active referrals, you can email me, and I'm happy to help about it. Active referrals is one of the main ways I grow my practice. I start working, let's say, in Portugal with one managing partner. It's not difficult for me then to get some good relations and recommendations, especially in another country, to one of their colleagues.